The scope of this study included sixth grade teachers in Sanford because that particular group had not had a lot of change from year to year. We have been using NWEA since the 02-03 school year, and I wanted to find a grade level where there hadn't been much movement. And grade 6 was the grade level, and I also looked at the area of math rather than moving it to reading and language usage as well. As I mentioned earlier, Sanford has been using the NWEA since 2002-2003. We didn't do a lot with it the first year, but in the second year we asked teachers and students to set growth goals in the fall so that they might meet their typical growth goal by spring in all 3 content areas. At the beginning of the 2004-05 school year, teachers were challenged to make sure that 50% of the students in their classrooms met their typical growth from fall to spring in all areas. And they were so easily able to do that by the end of that first year that we made that the official growth goal for the 05-06 school year. And again, because they reached that goal easily in 06-07, we changed the goal to 55% growth from fall to spring in all areas. And at the end of that school year, when we looked at the aggregate scores, we saw that they met that goal, but when we began to disaggregate, we saw that that wasn't even across the board. Not all buildings, not all grade levels, not both genders, not all quartiles had made that 55% growth goal. So we stuck to that goal, the 55% growth goal, in 2007 and 8. And we saw at the end of that year that there was a more evenness to the growth. That moved us in 08-09 to a 50% growth goal from spring to spring in all areas, but that particular year is not part of this study. Once again, I wanted to share with you that I used the data from the ASG reports, even though Sanford teachers often change that data in the spring, to tell us at the district level what their official growth scores are. This we do at what we call the NWEA reflection sessions. The difference between the percentage on the ASG report and the teacher's official growth scores comes because sometimes the names of students appear on a teacher's ASG report and they have not had the primary instructional responsibility for those students. Those students might go to a self-contained special ed room, or they might be in a resource room. So if the classroom teacher did not teach students reading or did not teach students math, those students' scores are not part of a classroom teacher's official growth scores. So what did our data show? First, I looked at the percent of students who made their typical growth goals. And I looked at it with the aggregate of all 10 teachers together. And then I looked at it year by year by individual teacher. And then I did a Venn to show those who did not make the goal over 5 years. And I'm going to move from this slide now down to a chart that will show you what I'm talking about. This is the percent of students making their typical growth as a group. In 2003-2004, we had 49.24% of the students making their typical growth, and that was the year when we really had no growth goal. But in 2004-2005, when we set that unofficial goal, 65.02% of the students made their typical growth. And then you'll see the subsequent years and how much growth was made once we had official goals set by the district. And this chart shows by individual teacher, you'll see 1 to 10 down that first column, the percent of growth they were able to have the students in their classrooms make each year. Now these tables show the story, but we have another way to show you the story, and that's by using the Inspire data program. So what did the data show? For each of the 2 growth indicators, I looked at the growth 2 different ways. I looked year by year as a group of teachers. I wanted to find out the grade 6 math growth in the aggregate. I looked year by year by individual teacher, And then I took a Venn diagram to see those teachers who did not make the growth goal over the 5 years. Finally, I looked at a correlation between the two growth indicators. Now, we can either look at these data in tables, like the next slide will show you what happened each year from 03-04 to 07-08 in terms of the growth goal and the percent of growth attained by the entire 6th grade group in math. Or the next table, which shows you teacher by teacher in the first column, how much growth was made by their students in math over the 5-year period. Or you can view these slides more dynamically in the Inspire Data program.